Welcome, guys. Welcome to our broadcast, our Sunday evening broadcast. I think we got to give it a name, guys. What you think? I thought about saying something like dinner with the coaches or something like that. Dinner with the coaches. So we are excited. As we mentioned last week, we will be here every Sunday from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. You know, discussing all things pertaining to life and business. And today's topic, we're before I introduce the topic, I want to definitely introduce my co-host, Coach Thomas Taylor. I feel like the Brady Bunch, or you can bend your hand down, you can point down. Coach Thomas Taylor, who is here. Thank you so much for always being here. And we also have our panelists to the right. We have Coach Keila Cravid. And we also have, of course, international herbalist, holistic and wellness coach, Sharmane Harrison to the right of Keila. And our guest panelist down over here, Latrelle Allen. Woo! So we are excited. Our topic today, we're going to talk about how to go from good to great. And we are here to encourage you, all those that are watching via the Wisdom Clinic and watching from the Becoming a Woman of Proverb page. And if you're watching on either of our page, because I'm sure they have shared this among all of their followers too. So guys, what do you think about the topic today? How to go from good to great? What are your feelings and thoughts about that? How do you go from good to great, Keila?
It's funny enough because you can hear me?
Now,
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So like I was mentioning,
Yes.
you can always improve something about in any area of your life. And I believe like a self-development is a great start, great starting point to develop yourself, because sometimes you believe like okay, self-development, what is all about. You can start, for example, by reading a simple book, and it can transform your life. And I think it's a great point to start from good to great and master your life. What do you guys think about it?
I agree, Keila. I think that just in the phrase in and of itself, how to go from good to great, right? I think about a journey. That's life. Right, we're constantly on the move. Life is constantly changing, and we're growing, if we so choose. Right? I mean, a lot of times we can't. They say that change is that's the greatest constant. Right? It's constantly. That's life is constantly changing. So we have to be in a place and in a space mentally to go through that process. And I think that's what that is when we're going from good to great. It's going from one level to the next. So for me, that's how I think about it when I see that title.
Yes, definitely. I want to elaborate on that. Keila spoke about self-development, which is super important. One of the first things that I always put out there is to identify your habits, your daily habits that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. That's one way I definitely believe in, that you can go from good to great, identifying those habits, just writing down areas of improvement. For sure. Like there's definitely, because everyone has areas of improvement. But if you're one of those people that are just kind of like, no, I'm good, I got this, I'm, not becoming, teachable or coachable or anything like that, you're going to kind of stay stuck at good, and you're not going to progress to great. So definitely identifying habits, writing down area of improvement versus just being acceptant of, being stagnant is something that's truly, super important.
Now,
Definitely.
go ahead, Thomas.
No, that's awesome. I kind of want to piggyback on what everybody's saying and just go a little bit deeper, faster, right? So for me, it's always a challenge, and the challenge is a mind shift, right? Because I always question, do I believe I can be great? Because you can start off at good, but do you believe you can be great? Because what happens is sometimes we look around us, and if you don't see anybody that's considered great, sometimes you question yourself as to whether or not you can be great, right? Because when I listen to Jim Rohn, like for me, it's about personal development. I've been in personal development field for decades, right? And Jim Rohn, he talks about that, and he said he was asked, he said, Jim, what is the key to greatness? And Jim Rohn said, service is the key to greatness. So it's not about what we call us. What is somebody else calling us based upon our service? So the mind shift for me has always been, do I believe, check it out, I can service enough people to be considered great and or be in a conversation amongst greatness? Because if I don't believe I could be in a crowded room and be alone. Mm-hmm. If I don't believe, right? So it's kind of easy to say that, because I think most people start off at good, regardless of how bad our past was. We fight to get to a level playing field. That's good. And sometimes we unpack our bags and we pitch a tent at good. Only because our mind won't allow us to think about the separation from the people that we're with in order to be great. Because it's just like a plane. When a plane is going up, right, after takeoff, right, there's going to be turbulence before it gets to a cruising altitude. Well, when the plane is at 30,000 feet, it doesn't worry about a bird flying in the engine. Why? Because the oxygen is thin up there. The air is thin, right? So when you think about greatness, when I think about greatness, when I look at those individuals who they considered great, it's a few. The percentages are small, especially that look like us. It's a small percentage, man. So again, for me, it's a mind shift, because what happens is when we start to shift our mind, guess what, you guys? The universe starts to line up with our thoughts, and then it starts to permeate, and now we're around greater people than us per se, right? And then it's a pull. It's a pull, a gravitational pull, because our mindset believes that we can. So that's just for starters.
That's very powerful. And you referenced TD Jakes prior to starting, and I thought about something when he preached at his daughter's church. Well, his son-in-law's church. They're both pastors. They're out in LA. But he said, before God shifts your life, he shifts your head. He shifts your thinking, because everything else follows after the thoughts.
Amen.
I know for me, the last few weeks, I've been reading a couple of books. One of the books I recommended to Nadira is called "It's Not Your Money," and it's by Tasha Silver.
That's a good.
And for me, as we talk about self-improvement and growth, I realized how I naturally fell into the process of reading that book. And then there's also another book by Yvonne Orji, the actress on Insecure, who plays Molly. It was called Being Bamboozled by Jesus. How I don't want to mess the title, but just look it up. You'll find the title. But it's called Bamboozled by Jesus. I forgot the subtitle. But my journey for reading these two books organically, without feeling forced to read them, has allowed myself to see my own personal growth in reading those two books. As a matter of fact, and I think I put this in the group chat on Slack about my new employment, and in the process of me reading It's Not Your Money, the practical things that I was working on within a matter of a couple of weeks, I noticed that's when this opportunity came about. It was something that I was doing within the meditation process, whatever the process that I was doing with my mindset shifting from the way I used to think about money. to these exercises that I didn't realize was taking place subconsciously started to manifest itself in the natural, through this opportunity. So I was like, wow, so that makes a lot of sense, where that's where everything starts. The mind is the most powerful thing. We can do all of these other things, these practices or whatever the cases may be first, but if the mind isn't right to say, okay, I'm ready to do this authentically, then it's going to be hard for the body and our behaviors and the practices and everything to kind of really to be consistent, for everything to align itself, with where we're trying to go from good to great, so I just wanted to add that part to it.
Funny enough, because what's
as you guys were talking, I'm sorry, Keila, there was a
no,
delay.
no, no,
I
no,
didn't mean
no.
to
Just
overtalk
go
you. Go
ahead.
ahead.
What I was mentioning is funny enough, because what's stopping us is believing that we are inferior than others. That's stopping us from going from good to great, because we are constantly looking for others, comparing ourselves and deeming ourselves most of the time, like we are not good enough and they doing amazing job, and we get stuck on this cutoff. Like it's the same thing, like you are sitting in your garden or in your house looking for the neighbor grass and telling yourself that his grass is greener than yours, when the truth
Right.
is you could have the same level of service, the same level, and achieve the same value and the same things like this person just got. Like Coach Thomas said, it's by focus on your mind, by work on yourself, because life is a season. You need to master your mind when the winter comes, and then move forward into the spring, mastering it better. So when the summer comes, you can enjoy the season, because most of the people believe that in order to get successful, they need to have a money first and then become successful. But if they work in the mindset first, this is when the success will come to them, because it's something you attract. It's not something like you will get when you get there. It's is like an attraction, is magnetic, bringing all these amazing things to your life. So this is when it comes from from good to great.
Absolutely. I think of it too. I think of it, I think all of you have very good, valid points. For me, when I think of anybody from going good to great, has a lot to do with making sure that you're in alignment, as Latrelle said, that you're in alignment in every area of your life. Because if you're not in alignment, i.e., whole in every area of your life, then what's going to happen is it doesn't matter how great you appear to be in the physical aspect. You might be great in your business, you might be great, because there's some people who are great but their mind is jacked up. And so that's why I have made it my mission to make sure that I have my mind in the right place, so that as my business gets to as it grows or goes from good to great, that it's going in alignment with the mindset, so that I'm not losing my mind while I'm helping somebody else gain their mind. Where I want to make sure, and so I look at that as making sure that everything that is surrounding me is in alignment. So we're all going together. My mind, my business, my vision, my children, my family. I'm not going to be lacking in what's the word I want to use? And there it's going to come to me, but I'm not lacking in balance. So to me, going from good to great means you're balanced and that you're taking it to the next level. I don't care how great you look. I don't care how much money you're making. If your mind is spiritually poor, if you have a mindset where you feel like you never can make it, you never can achieve anything, or you just feel like, because it's good for us to put on a show. Come on, y'all, let's be real now. It's good to show everybody you great and that you appear to be good, but what you do and how you deal with life in your private life tells you if you're really good or not, because people only see what you allow them to see. I think where it transitions into you going great is when people see you whether in business or in your personal life, when they see that you're consistent and you're balanced or striving to be balanced in both your personal and your business life. So to me, to go from good to great means being balanced in both your personal life and your business life. And that means regarding if you're a parent, you can't go from good to great if you're a parent and you're neglecting your kids. You can't go from good to great. You can't go from good to great and be and neglect your spouse if you're married. You can't go from good to great if you are not in alignment with God and you are just kind of just, doing whatever it is that you want to do and living your life haphazardly. You might be doing great in business, but what profit man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So I think, to me, when I think about going from good to great, it means balanced. And when I'm balanced, then everything else gets to get better. As I grow in my balance, everything else shifts with me. So I become a better parent as I become a better business person. I become a better me as I become a better parent, and then I become a better parent, and then I become a better business owner. So that's how I look at it when it comes to going from good to great. Because I know for me, I have realized, and it's something that I'm always aware of, is I want to make sure that I am just as good at parenting as I am in business. I want to be just as good at managing my finances as I am with managing any other area of my life. So that has been something I've been really thinking about. So I think the topic is so befitting because I think a lot of people need to know the reality of what it takes to go from good to great. Let's focus on being good. Let's focus on being good first. Meaning, you know how we go say to each other, we like, you good, sis? You good? You good? Well, some of us aren't good. And we're trying to be great. And we haven't even learned good yet.
A good point. That's a good point.
You said something, Nadira, that made me think about kind of where we are with the pandemic. And a lot of people, depending upon their level of awareness, think it's just about a pandemic, right? It's about this huge virus that has shaken the entire world, the planet. It's a shift that's taking place in the country. And what is happening is that this shift is exposing people, is exposing who they really are on the inside, right? We've seen it start to take place within the last few years with so many things. Let's just take, for example, within my industry, right? With so many of the sexual assaults from the top, and people who the people who did this quote unquote power, right? This puffed up power, but now you see them falling down. You see them in these trials and these cases, and it's like, well, you really weren't the person that you were purporting to be, right? The entire time, although you were putting on these airs for so many years. It's like, people say people can act for only for so long, right? Until something comes along and their whole entire world has been shaken. And now it's like, who are you at your core in order for you to know, okay, what do I need in order to become the person that I've been called to go from good to great, and we've seen so many truths and so many things and people exposed in every area, every industry, that if they're willing to say, okay, let me take a look in the mirror, let me do my inventory to see what do I need to improve upon. Keila and Sharmane mentioned it earlier, the level of improvement, being humble enough to say, okay, I need help in this area. I messed up over here. I made a mistake over here, or what have you. And I think also, I was thinking when you were talking, people who ask that question, well, how do you go, from good to great? What would that look like for certain people? And I think for me, the first thing is taking an assessment, inventory on where you are. I know our coach Sean, right? He talks about it all the time. Taking that assessment, knowing it's like being like a map, right? Knowing where you are. If you know where you're trying to get to, you have to know exactly where you are on that map. Look at what you have to work with, figure out what you need, and then, after you chart the course, then go from there, and a lot of times I think because we live in a world where it's right now, especially in this information age, and we're getting so much, of all this information, we're trying to figure out, how do we do it? You know what I mean? People are they say the hardest thing, especially when it comes to building a business, is starting. I think because so many people don't know how or where to start. And I think that assessment is the first step. Asking ourselves, where are we? Who are we in this season? What do I really want for myself? And then charting that course to figure out how to get there. How do we get from where we are now to where we are trying to get to? So I just wanted to add that into the pot.
Right. I definitely agree. And I was going to say that also, kind of elaborate on that, how you were asking, what about those people that's like, well, what does good look like? What does great look like? One of the biggest things, you have to have a vision for what your great looks like. You have to have a vision because everybody's vision is not going to be the same. You have to expand off that vision. And that's why it's so important to know who you are. And, we've heard it before. What do you stand for? What do you stand against? Things like that. Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Are you surrounding yourself with people that of greatness or of your definition of greatness, or who you want to become and where you're trying to go? So that's definitely important to be able to know who you're around. Like you said earlier, the self-development books, the audios that you're listening to, down to the music, things like that. You have to kind of change those small habits in order for big habits to change.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And there's a book that's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. You guys ever get a chance to check it out? Kind of talks about how, a lot of companies make that leap. You know what I mean? And when you really kind of understand, I kind of break it down into two phases based upon what you guys are saying. And one is language, right? So when you really understand from the depths of what Sharmane just said, like, what is the language that we're speaking, right? Because we all know in Proverbs it said, power of the tongue, life or death is in the power of the tongue. So what are we saying, right? What is our language? Do we understand that I am, right? Do we understand how strong and powerful that statement is? And then the other thing is perception, right? Because when I listen to what everybody's saying, what happens is a lot of times people live their lives based upon perception, right? And we all know that, perception, unfortunately, sometimes becomes people's reality. It could be far from the truth, right? Like you can't even see the truth. It's so far, right? But it's just perception. And some people go off that. We call that hype. You see the street, it's just hype. It's a lot of hype, right? Just smoke and mirrors. Like there's nothing behind it. So now when that thing is tested, right? When that quote unquote greatness is tested, that's where you start to see individuals start to crumble and not be so sure about themselves because people around them built them up based upon a perception. But if you listen to their language is of a defeating nature. So if you're speaking from a defeated posture, it doesn't matter what the perception is because we all know the truth will rise, right? The truth stands on its own. It doesn't need any help, right? When you make up stories, you have to, if you listen to language, when people talk about stories, they always use the word building, right? Well, with a story, you have to build it up. You don't have to build the truth up because the truth stands on its own. And when you live and when you lead from that point of view, now you really start to understand your value. See, because at the end of the day, you guys, that's really what counts. Because your value, right? The value that you bring to others will lead to greatness. And check this out. Even if you don't want to go, Sharmane, Latrelle, Nadira, even if you don't want to go, but the value that you bring, people will put an expectation on you that will pull you out of your comfort zone.
That's good.
And they'll call you great. Now, you may be shaking in your boots. You may be shaking in your boots, right? But it's the value. And I think, you guys, that's where we kind of, the wheels kind of fall off the wagon. Why? Because sometimes we don't understand our own value. To be great, it's not that we can't, but first we have to understand the value that we bring. So, Keila, when they start calling you great, you're okay with that. Latrelle, Sharmane, Nadira, when they call you that, you're okay with that. Because this is what happens if you're not sure. Oh, Nadira, you was great. You're like, it was okay. It was all right. It wasn't too bad. No, that was fire. That was great. I could have did a little bit better. I messed up. We you see, y'all laughing, right? Y'all laughing, right? We automatically downplay it because we don't want to shine, right? We don't want to shine. Why? Because I apologize, man. I'm starting to get a little hype. I apologize. with the shine, with the shine comes expectations, right? We don't want the expectations of greatness because you know what it entails. Right? I was looking at a motivational video on YouTube. It was called No Days Off. No excuses, no days off. Could you imagine living your life with no days off? With what God put inside of you? No excuses, regardless of when life shows up. No days off. I started a challenge from that. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 chin-ups. Now I've been okay on the pull-ups, on the push-ups, and I've been okay on the sit-ups, but the chin-ups, 10, maybe 20. I didn't get to 100 yet, but my mind is taking me to 100 because there's no excuses, no days off, you guys. So understand. Think about Muhammad Ali. What did he call himself before they did? He called himself the greatest. It's like Cassius Clay, what? You're young. You just start now. He called himself the greatest. What do they call him today? The greatest. So again, it really starts with our belief, but with the belief comes expectation. And are we ready for the expectation? Drop the mic. I'm done for right now.
Yes, mic drop. That was awesome. That was awesome.
That was so awesome that I want us to take a quick commercial break before I think Sharmane wanted to respond, but we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back with Sharmane continuing to give us her answer to that. So we'll be back after this. Do you have a business, product, or service that you want to share on the Sisterhood Check-In broadcast? Make sure you send us a message at becomingawomanofproverbs@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us at 470-560-5949. We look forward to partnering with you here on the broadcast. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to join me and international holistic health and wellness coach Sharmane Harrison as we begin to discuss all things health every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. in the Wisdom Clinic. I'll see you on the inside. You sometimes get overwhelmed and discouraged. But let me read to you what Colossians chapter 1 says, verse 8, who also declared unto us your love in the Spirit.
For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that ye may walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God, strengthened with all might according to his glorious power unto all patience and long suffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, which has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints of light. I just want to take the time to tell you, be encouraged. Don't let anybody take your light, and just know that God is always in control.
All right, and we are back with our lovely panelist co-host Thomas Taylor and our guest panelists Keila Cravid, Sharmane Harrison, and of course Latrelle Allen. And we were in an awesome discussion before we had to go to break. So Sharmane, I wanted to give you an opportunity to continue your statement.
Oh, I was saying that was awesome what Coach Thomas was talking about. I know I'm guilty of it. You know, when I came into the health and wellness space, the holistic health and wellness space in 2018, I actually had a lot of people reaching out to me for, you know, the things that I was able to accomplish at that time. And it was like overwhelming at that time, just overwhelming, you know, but I had, you know, I was passionate about what I did. So people would reach out to me, you know, and I had a moment where I just wanted to quit. I'm like, this is too much. This is overwhelming. I can't do this. And the more people would reach out to me, but then I would go to sleep at night, and then I would wake up the next day with these messages like, help me, help me, help me. And
Wow.
I couldn't give up. I couldn't stop. I couldn't just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do this, because people needed my help. And I was that was a defining moment for me, where I was like, you know, no, let me continue to walk in my path that I know I need to walk in. So that's definitely a perfect example of what you were saying, Coach Thomas. Yeah,
awesome, man. That's an awesome testimony.
I think that's I thought about two things, you know, Thomas, when you were speaking, and then hearing Sharmane's story, is to whom much is given, much is required, right?
Amen.
And, you know, it also is a testament to the one or two questions that we all eventually have to face, especially when it comes to success, whatever that looks like for us. And it's, are we afraid of succeeding, or are we afraid of failing? And I think, I can't speak for the entire world, but I think, I know for me, I've definitely had to have asked myself that question. As a matter of fact, I think, no, not I think, I know I had a conversation with the writer director I was working with on a project. It was about maybe sometime at the beginning of last month. And we had a nice thing. It was a nice in-depth conversation. And because, you know, it was a bit of a struggle for me to kind of really push through a moment and scene that we were working on. And one of the questions that she asked me was, what is it that I fear the most? And I said, I fear not fulfilling my purpose. And because I feel like there were just so many things, or the thoughts, the beliefs in my mind, in my head, that makes me think that I'm not doing enough, or whatever the thoughts and things I've been telling myself or think I'm not doing, that says, okay, Latrelle, whatever that thing that's been blocking me to succeed, even just in this moment, or whatever may have been always plaguing me to fulfill my purpose. And, you know, just either answering that question, whether it's succeeding or failing, you know, that's a real deep question, because it's like, if it's success, then that means you have to step up to the plate. You know, like what Sharmane said, is if there's this expectation on this weight, you know, they say the heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? Everybody wants this huge level of success, but you have to ask yourself, do you know what that's going to require of you, right? We were talking about habits and things earlier. There are some things that you're in, to piggyback again, going back to DD Jakes in this morning, talking about change. There are a lot of things that we are going to have to change about ourselves, transform, and into becoming or living and having that level of success, the success that we see, we think we want, right? That requires a lot from us. And then it's the other side of the coin, the idea of being afraid to fall, right? Being afraid to fail, and not realizing it's like that's kind of really a part of the process of success, right? You know, that's a part of the process of becoming. You know, I'll just give an example. And Friday at my current job, we went skating with the kids. When they brought the skating to the school, so we went skating in the gym, in the gym with the kids. And so while me and my coworkers were teaching the students how to skate, it was interesting just watching the process of seeing the students fall and get back up, fall and get back up. Some of them quit. Some of them was like, you know, hey, nope, this ain't for me. Right. One of my kids in my class, he's like, I'm going back upstairs. This ain't working for me. You know, and then I noticed how some of them literally, I mean, of course they weren't perfect by the time they were over for the day, but they didn't need our help at some point anymore. They may have, you know, needed to hang onto the wall, or they may have fallen a few times, gotten back up, but that falling rather is a part of the growing and the succeeding process. You know, so either way, whether we are afraid to fall or afraid to succeed, they both require something from us, an expectation, whether we're going to choose to stay down and when we fall, or whether we're going to choose to get up, to change, to grow, change those habits as we are becoming great, as we are working towards that success. Either way, something is expected of us, you know. So I definitely want to just share that part in the conversation.
Now, Latrelle, you can do a whole a lesson with those kids with that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you created one yet?
No, because actually it's a short program, so this is like our last. We have like 2 more weeks, so it's not like a full out, you know, school year thing. But I know for my next place that I'm going to, that's definitely something I'm going to consider.
No. Like I kind of have conversation with my wife sometimes with our children, and I tell my wife, never miss an opportunity to teach.
Oh, always.
Right.
Always.
So that's a perfect opportunity, right? You can wrap that up with them before they leave this class right here, because this class had that experience, right? You can wrap that up in a bow and you can give it to them, because they can take that with them in life. Mm-hmm. Because it's a great example of how some give up, some persevere, some need help on the wall, right? And some just get it and go, right? All those different qualifications. You saw that yourself. You can wrap that up and take 30 minutes or 1 hour, and you don't even realize how powerful that can be for them, because it's something that as they live their life, they can always reflect upon. So those that quit, you challenge them to persevere, right? Those that was able to persevere, you challenge them to help those that quit. Those who got it and left, you challenge them not to think about themselves, to think about those around them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then those that was holding on to the wall, right? You teach them, okay, what is that anchor for you? Is it your creator, right? Is it your parents? Like what is that anchor? Because you need it. And then you help them understand in life, you may need somebody to lean on. I mean, I could go on and on. I could go on and on. I could go on and on. But it's an opportunity. Good, yeah. It's an opportunity for these young people because they're visual, right? Mm-hmm. So this is not in the book. This is something that they experienced.
Right.
And you can take that whole thing and wrap it up and just give them a whole presentation, and they can walk with that, and it's something that they always can come back to. I just didn't want to miss that opportunity.
I like to add.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to add to that. I agree with that. I had a mentoring program for 3 years. And even though it was a very short program, maybe 4 weeks, it was actually, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. I forgot how long it was. But even in that program, we incorporated life lessons and talking, even physical experience, even physical experiments that incorporated life lessons in that, because at the end of the day, even though every program has something that seems like the same as any other program, and to you it might think like, oh, they're just getting through the day, they're just playing, they're not really absorbing. But when you start incorporating life lessons in there, believe it or not, I can look back to some things I've been a part of as a kid that I remember. I may not remember everything, but there, you don't know what child is going to take what from that particular program. So I definitely agree with you, Coach Thomas. Definitely incorporate life lessons in that, so that as they grow older, they always have in the back of their head. You know how it is when you have a teacher that's always telling you stuff, and in the back of your head, me and my girlfriend stayed there now. Remember when Mr. Byers used to say, or Miss So-and-so used to say? It was embedded in our head. So when you can take, something, it seems really difficult, but you can make it really simple. You can have like something that you repeat over and over again that they remember. My kid, like for my kids, like when we were in our group, when we did our little youth Bible study, we used to always say, hear and do. Hear and do. So it used to be funny because the kids will go around messing with the other kids and go, yeah, hear and do. Hear and do. So I was trying to incorporate the life lesson that when you hear something that you're supposed to do, whether it's through your parents or anybody that's influential or that's in charge at that particular time, you need to respond with action. You need to do it. Don't just say it. Don't just think it. Respond. So, yeah.
Make an impact. Make an impact. That's how you go from good to good, making that impact. So that's definitely important.
Because I do that every day with them. Yeah, I like that idea of taking that day and just applying it to them every day. Yeah, so I like that.
Yeah, it's funny enough because my son, when he was like around 4 to 5 years old, he fell off from the bike, and then he just decided to stop ride a bike. And then the school, when they provide like to train them how to ride a bike, I was like, maybe this is the great opportunity for him to go ride a bike again. And he just stood there, and the instructor just gave like a few trick that they should be doing, and to stand on the top of the bike and then like swing their leg like a dinosaur and all this thing, and just he lifts up. I was like, he lost his confidence when he fell from the bike, right? And sometimes this happened to us as well, because we fail in some project, in some exam, on any area of our life, and we view ourselves as a failure rather than see that detach ourselves from what just happened, right? Because what happened to us doesn't make us the failure. Because if we go ahead and try it again, we will succeed or even do a better job. So when Sharmane was asking, sometimes people asking how to get the good or how to get the great, and we are looking from the bottom staircase and look all the way up on how we will get there, and forgetting about giving one step at the time, right? this is where we are failing, where we see ourselves like a heavy. How will I get there? Rather than I will start from the small step, building myself up, getting the strength with the discipline, with the habit, with the great mindset, and then we are getting to the good. Once we get there, we are just pushed by the wind to move to the great side.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was really good. And I think Thomas and I were talking about that earlier. Failure is a part of success. I think we need to make sure that we emphasize. Then there's a difference between failing at something and being a failure. Failing is a part, because that's the only way we're going to talk about going from good to great. Sometimes that difference is also being able to see what you've done or what you failed at, and developing a new strategy on how to be better than, or how to do something better than what you've done before. I used to always be discouraged about failure, because until, again, once you are whole and start working on areas of your mind, I was under the impression every time I failed at something that it meant that I was a failure. So I would get discouraged like quickly and feel like, oh my gosh, and I would be my biggest critic. I would be the one, it wasn't even outsiders. I would be the one that beat myself down, because my expectations for me and myself was so much higher. I felt like, because I had a vision that I wanted to be great. I had a vision that I wanted to be better than. I wanted to, be the one that, stand out outside my family, be like, where people can look at and say, yeah, she overcame this, she overcame that. But then as I started to, not even realizing I still, all of that work together for my good, the good and the bad. And so I think it's important to help people understand that you need the good and the bad. Just look in the world. We don't have just only good in the world. We have good and evil, you know. And so it's learning how to deal with the things that we fail at, and learning how to overcome it, because those things that we overcome become life lessons. They help the next generation. They help the people that are coming behind us. They help your children when they're watching you. When your children see you overcome circumstances and situations, then they begin to, without even thinking about it, they begin to look at you as an example on how to overcome. So when they get into life and they get to be young adults, they will then take on failures or things that they failed at the same way you did, and they'll look at it as those. We may not have the same things that we fail at, but how we overcome is we should understand that our mindset is what helps us go from failing to, to being able to succeed and do better, so that we can be on a path to greatness.
Definitely. And one of the biggest things that helped me, I know, was a game changer, definitely was reevaluating my goals. Like whether that's daily, you set them daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. What I do for self accountability is I go back and I reevaluate my goals. I don't change the goal. I revise the plan. So when I go in, and that keeps me on track to not, wanting to kind of give up, because I understand, like Keila said, there's steps. You start at that first step and you make your way up. So reevaluating, you're making those daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals will kind of keep you on that path. And it keeps you, again, the self accountability portion. It keeps you going.
And then for me to kind of piggyback off of that, from when you think about going from good to great, what is our great tied to? And what I mean by that is, do you know why you want to be great? So what's your why? Like what's your driver? And the reason why that's important is because when you understand your why, you're not tied to the result of what the greatness may mean. Say it again. You may not understand that when you go after that, you get caught in the result and you miss the journey. You miss the destination. And the destination is the why, right? Because it pulls you and it drives us. Why? Because just think about it. If you got to wherever you wanted to be in life and you called yourself great, and then you look behind you and it's nothing but carnage and dead bodies all behind you, what are they calling you? Right? There's a parable, right? And I said this last week. You know, Peter said to, the Messiah, said, hey, some are calling you Messiah, some calling you that. What did he say? He said, who do you say I am? Right? And when he told him the answer, what did he say? He said, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you. Right? So who do we say we are? Which is a part of our why. And that's what's most important, because you know why? They're going to call us all types of things along the way. And if you stop to listen to that, it might distract you. That's what Nadira was talking about. She has some challenges with that aspect, right? Based upon what people were saying, right? Not really focusing on the why you were doing. Because the why, you guys, the why will keep you going when all else fails around us. But sometimes we don't really understand the essence of the why, right? Like, why are we on this call right now, right? We have something inside of us that wants to give value to other people. That's beautiful. Why? Because there's not a lot of people that's not doing that. A lot of people don't feel that way. Right? Because it's the value. But inside of the value, there's something innate that's inside of us that keeps us going. Because we understand the why. And then, hey, maybe one day they'll call us great. Maybe one day they won't. Right? But we're not tied to that, you guys. If we keep giving value, we're gonna keep changing people's lives. And for most of us, that's more important than anything. Is being in a position to impact people's lives. Look, Sharmane, you're in the health and wellness. That's a lifesaver. That's yes. Richness, right? Yes. Why? Because you can't buy your health. No money in the world. You can't buy your health, but you can use that money to preserve your health, right? To do the right thing before you get sick. Right. It's about service, it's about helping people. So for me, that's kind of what I look at, man, and it pushes me even when I don't want to get out there and perform, you guys. I just came back from vacation. I was on vacation with my wife for a couple of days. We was in Orlando, and I do Facebook Lives in the morning. And I was conflicted, man. I was like, oh man, I'm out here in Orlando. And she's like, nah, you need to do it. You need to do it. So I got up, I prayed, meditated, and boom, he hit me with a word, and it was about persistence, right? But I had, purple shirt on. Why? Because I'm committed, you guys, to the process, because I understand my why, right? And my why is part of the service that I give to other people to help inspire them to move from where they are to stretch them to another level. And we all have it in us. And sometimes it just takes somebody to reach down and pull it out, and you be like, oh, okay, I got, like you said, Keila, with your son riding the bike, right? At a certain point, he was like, oh, no, I got it. I'm good now. But it wasn't like that at first, right? And sometimes, we're the same way. So let's grow.
That's important, like you said, to make impact. Because at the end, it's another thing. You're always going to want more at the end of your goal. Even when you reach that goal, you're always going to want more. So like you said, are you looking back and seeing dead bodies and things like that, dead carcasses? Like, or are you, making the impact and changing lives? Are you going to look behind you and see a group of followers, people that's like, wow, you did that, you paved the way. So impact is super important. That's why your goal should never be, find money. That's a good, always give value, raise your price. There's nothing wrong with that. Entrepreneurship, that's something that's not talked about. Add value, raise your price. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're making impact.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Facts.
Amen.
You know, y'all said some great things, and three things I wanted to add really quickly. Thomas, to your point, to the why, I think what's key with the why is knowing who we are, right? If there's, of course, from season to season, because there's so many layers to who we are, we're always ever evolving. But who we are at our core helps us to know why we do what we do, right? Like Nadira said with yesterday's call with Coach, like that conversation even made me really think about, oh, wow, when he was answering Tracy's question about, you know, when he just really simplified it in a short sentence, it made me think about, oh, wow, okay, well, who am I really? You know, I've been on this journey for a minute. And so I think that that's important. The second thing I thought about, I was in a room on Clubhouse. I think it was Friday or sometime this past week. And they were talking about, it was something that you said, Tom. I don't know why it's escaping me right now. But in hearing what you said regarding, I don't know, I can't, it's gone, but it'll come back to me. It'll be important. It'll come back. But the third thing was when you talked about, I think it was Sharmane's point about leadership and impact. And the pastor that I listened to out of LA, the same church, Torrey Roberts, he was talking about the modern church and how it's not necessarily quote unquote new, but what he said is it's not. Leadership is about, it's really based upon how many people, how many leaders you can build up at the end of the day versus how many followers you have, right? If you can build up more people, once you're gone, the legacy that, and I'm paraphrasing, you know, just my own interpretation, what he said. If your legacy that you leave represents the people that you've built up to keep the baton going that you've passed down, versus just having, I got 1,000 plus 1 million plus followers, that says a lot about what you did when you were here, right? So the impact that we have on the people that are coming behind us and what we leave them, be it from children to the neighborhood children to, you know, whoever the future is, you know, if it's cousins, if it's nieces, nephews, you know, aunts, uncles, whoever the impact is across the world, those people that we build up, if it's 500 people, it's 5 people, you know, versus just having 1 million people follow you. It's like, well, the people who are following you, what are you teaching them? What are we teaching those people that are following us, right? And I think that that's what's so key pertaining to that impact and our leadership. It's what are we leaving behind, right? What lasting imprint are we leaving behind the people that are watching us, behind the people that are following us, who's picking up what we're putting down, right? And so I really wish I can remember this reference for Clubhouse. But it'll come back to me. I might interrupt somebody. Like, oh yeah, I remember now.
What? Was you saying something, Nadira?
I thought Latrelle was still talking, so I was on mute. I was listening to her. I thought she was still talking. I still was like a little pause, and I was like, okay, was that me? But no, you can go ahead, Coach Thomas.
No, I was just asking you, did you have something to say? No, I saw you nodding.
I think what's important to understand, as all of us have continuously said, is that, you brought up we all brought up some really good points. And I just like to say, because I know, before we end the call, because I know I have, some little ones to get prepared for school in the morning. So I want to go ahead and just close out. But I just want to encourage you guys to really listen. This panelist that we have here, we have all been a part of the mindset where we want to be, where we have that vision in front of us, and we have failed, but we kept going. And we continue to keep going, which is why we're in a position to where we are now. We are always in a position of always learning, always trying to take the information because when you know better, you do better, right? So that's my thing. As long as I continue to take the information that I continue to get and apply it as I get it, I believe going from good to great will just happen without you even really knowing it. I don't think you should really take note of saying, am I good today and great tomorrow? I think you should just allow yourself to just be who you are. And the more you keep improving yourself, you will eventually, before you know it, you'll be great. And to some people, you might be great in some people's eyes, and you may not be so great in other people's eyes. But the most important thing is when you are balanced and you're growing and you're doing putting in the work. You're putting in the work, then let your actions determine whether you're good or great. Let your actions and your life and your mind begin to dictate what makes you good or great. Coach Thomas?
Yeah, and I think, for me, when we talk about, and good job everybody, man, good job, great job. Appreciate you guys. When I think about going from good to great, I think about, let's say if great was a destination. All right, just think about this for a minute. Stay with me. If greatness was a destination, would you want to arrive at that destination? Or would you want it to continuously keep going and you always got better in search of greatness? And then somebody one day told you that you was great and you didn't even know that you were there. If it was a destination. Because if it was a destination, what happens is when we look at our lives, we continuously move and build and grow. And to me, that is one of the most significant things that we all can do, is challenge ourselves to be more and do more. Because if what we're doing, we can do, and we're comfortable in doing that, are we on the road to greatness? Or are we on the road to mediocrity? And do we know the difference? Ooh, that's deep, right? Why? Because there's things inside of us, there's things around us that we know we can be better at, but we make a choice to be okay with where we are, right? And it's always a choice, you guys. It's always a choice, right? So for me, I challenge each and every one of us and everybody that's listening, right? If you really want to be great, I challenge you to do more and be more, right? And let greatness take care of itself, because one day somebody just might call you great while you're ascending to be more and do more. You didn't even know you was there, because then you realize that essentially it wasn't about you when you started. If greatness was a destination. I'm gonna stop right there.
Wow.
Anybody else dropping those nuggets?
I know,
Tom is
right?
always dropping those nuggets. I would probably just add really quickly. I would say the importance of our words, our language, what we tell ourselves is important. That's key too, because that plays a part in what we believe. And if we're speaking it, we're reverberating back into the universe what society or whatever our environment has already imparted. If we don't, like you said, Coach, choose to use our words just with that, then that keeps us in that space, right, of where we already are, what people have already told us. I would say changing our words, our language, our vocabulary definitely plays a huge part in our belief, in our actions, in our behavior, in our steps towards becoming great with our mindset and all of those things. So yeah, I would just say, just watch our words. Watch our words.
I just want to add to it. You don't need to wait until the things to be perfect in order to start, or in order to be good, or in order to achieve the greatest. Start where you are and use what you have, and then do what you can. Because quite often what happens is you want to have all the tools because you believe this is all you need to be starting it. Imagine you want to build, you are a chef, and you want to have all these amazing tools in order to start your own restaurant. Start with what you already have, and then the greatness just will come, and you will get there. Master it from where you are at the moment. I just want to add this.
Yeah, I say it about health all the time. Health is not a destination, that's a diet. You want to achieve a lifestyle change, that's a journey. It keeps going, it doesn't stop. So that's definitely something I would like, put out there.
Amen.
Absolutely. I want to take some time to acknowledge our audience that have been engaging with us. We have someone say hello, and Latoya Goodman says greetings, greetings, Latoya. And someone else says hello, Nadira Lewis, hello. And let's see, we have Genta. Genta says hello, phenomenal leaders. Hi, Genta. Thank you for watching. And she said, oh, she says, say that, Nadira, get good first. All right now. She says, preach, Thomas. Learn to receive. Yes. Accept your own greatness. Sometimes it's hard to do. I agree.
Mm.
No apologies, sir. Give that fight. Give that bomb. All right. Antoinette says, right. Yeah, just keep becoming. Perhaps greatness will show up in the becoming process. I love that. I love that. She says, right, just work right where you are with what you have and stay diligent. Absolutely. And that's the key thing is I love that, Keila. That was
Yeah,
such
that's
a
good.
befitting statement is being able to thanks, Genta. Genta says she's so proud. Keep going. Thanks, Genta. I think that was so profound, Keila, because it was so simple. I think that's sometimes what we fail to do is appreciate where we are. We're so busy trying to get somewhere and not really valuing where we are now. And there's lessons, there are things that we can learn as we're growing in the space that we're in at the time frame. So I think sometimes when we spend so much energy and time trying to go beyond and trying to have the perfect scenario, the perfect situation, the perfect steps, the perfect life before we actually go make an impact in somebody else's life, that's not when we're our most impactful. Sometimes that's why reality TV is so huge. Reality TV is huge because people want to know your journey. They want to watch you. So while we're trying to be great, trying to have everything set up a certain way, people are watching and they're embracing our journey and they're watching us and they're going, okay, okay. And that's really where the impact is coming. The impact is coming in people watching you where you are now, how you're dealing with adversity now, how you're dealing with failure now, how you're dealing with it now. We're not waiting for you to get there because anybody can get there and be like, oh yeah, I'm good. This is how I am now. That's great. But I want to see you on your journey. I want to see I want to see you in action. reflection, because everybody can make themselves look great in the moment. But when I see you, when you're in the midst of adversity and you want to give up, and you say, you know what, and you don't deny the fact that, yeah, I might feel like I want to give up, but I'm gonna keep on going. When I see that, that's an impact for me, because I'm looking down. That's where I'm encouraged, because now I see that you're human, and that the things that I might deal with is not that far off. It doesn't make me feel weird or strange when I go through that. Now I can relate to you, and now I can understand you. So when people relate to us and they understand our process, that's when the impact comes. The impact doesn't come when everything is in order, in perfect condition. And the impact comes when we see you persevere when it's difficult, when we see you keep going when it's when it's difficult, when we see you pushing, when it's not going the way you want to. That's what impacts people. So I just wanted to we have one more comment where Antoinette says, our present is just as important as we are trying to go in the future. So she's definitely in agreement with us, Thomas, with us talking about the process and the journey, and that was so impactful. But I just want to take the time to thank you all for joining us here on our broadcast. I want to also let you know that for those of you who have not yet gotten my book, What Happened to Me? How Did I Get Here? Make sure you go to, make sure you visit. It's on Amazon. You can look it up. What Happened to Me? How did I get here? Where I talk to you about my journey and how I got to where I am now in my mindset, and how I continue to go, how I continue to grow in areas of my mindset and the things that I've gone through. You can also visit Coach Thomas. He's also on Facebook. You can go visit him at, let me pull him up so I don't mess up how it's the @ Thomas Taylor III, and on YouTube, Thomas Taylor III -- Taylor Your Dreams. You can also visit our international herbalist and holistic and wellness coach, Sharmane Harrison, at www.healbynature.org. Make sure you guys also join Keila, the confidence coach, at www.keilacravid.com. And don't forget, last but not least, to follow Latrelle on Facebook and Instagram at the @ Allen. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. We appreciate it. Until next time. And also Tuesday, don't forget, in the Wisdom Clinic, we will be having our weekly wellness Tuesdays. So make sure you join me and international herbalist Sharmane Harrison as we continue our health journey, as she says, our health journey on making sure that we are pushing out those toxins in our body, and that we are really truly living our best life. So until next time, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
Refugees, dirty immigrants, asylum seekers, job stealers, that is what they see. Beautiful faces, thick accents, a melting pot of culture, holding 3 to 4 jobs, back pocket of hopes and dreams, seekers of opportunities, that is what we see. I am Georgia Lawrence, the founding attorney of Georgia Lawrence LLC. I was born and raised in Jamaica. I migrated to the United States with 2 suitcases and $200 to seek a better life. I I understand firsthand the importance of having a fighter on your team to navigate the complexity of the immigration system. Hence the reason I chose immigration and human rights law. Here at Georgia Lawrence LLC, we take pride in connecting our passion and purpose to your plan. Give us a call today.
What's going on, guys? It's Daily Trades with Chris here. I'm hosting a 7-day webinar for you to understand how to trade the stock market, futures market, and the forex market. This one particular trading strategy has 3 steps, okay? Very simple. All you have to do is look for a trade, place your trade, and watch your trade play out. In this 7-day webinar, I'm going to be going over exactly how to get into the market, where to get out of the market, where to set your stop loss, take profit, and you're going to have a risk management rule in place too as well. Now, this Z trade, in fact, just dropped 400 points on oil. If you do the math on that, that's about $4,000 just from one contract. If you want to learn how to make $4,000 in one single day with the Z trade, respond back to this email right here. Comment below in this video, and I'll get back to you with all the information that you're looking for.